Funny thing is, I had no interest in training females. I got asked to train Lauren, and I said no, I didn't want to train Lauren. I was just training Gen Pop guys and transformations and stuff like that. That's what I kind of liked. And then I got asked to train Lauren, and then I trained a couple other women, and then they did well, really well. They won like world titles. A couple other women won. I trained pro shows, bikini shows, and whatnot. And all of a sudden, people thought, oh, he's the bikini guy now. He's the guy who trains all these women and stuff like that. It was never, oh man, I want to train women. And I was like, oh man, I want to be a glute specialist. Like it was never any of that. It was just, hey, my job is to get results. It was to get someone who's a guy who's needs to lose 50 kilos or a woman. To me, it's just all coaching. Like I don't see myself as a specialist anything. So, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm a glute expert. I'm a hypertrophy expert. I don't think anything. I'm just a coach. And, part of being a coach is like, hey, I get people stronger. I help people build muscle. I help people get really lean. I help people do all these things. So to me, it's never a matter of, oh man, I want to be this expert. I want to be this. That's why in my Instagram, it's never like, oh, glute building expert or anything like that. It's just I create programs, and then if people buy them, and I buy a lot of them, it tells me, hey, people want more of that stuff. So then I create more and stuff like that. So it's one of those things. If you have a restaurant and you create, 3 or 4 different foods and stuff quite different, and people seem to favor one, they keep buying it. So you're, oh, cool, there's something there. But for me, it was never a matter of I wanted to be this or that. Like I really like training guys, and I love getting guys epic transformations. That was probably the thing I'm more passionate at. Because I live that for that, because for me, I've always wanted to look a certain way, and and factors like that. But yeah, it's one of those things though. It's like if you're doing well, like I'm trying to think how to put it. All right, let's say in life, you want to go, I want to be super successful. I remember it's like, well, what is successful and stuff like that? I was like, I want to be an elite coach. Okay, well, what's that? And to me, that was just knowing a lot of things and being able to help people in different situations. And for whatever reason, it kind of took off in that kind of regard of, hey, he trains these people. But yeah, it was never a matter of that. And with my content, a lot of the stuff, people see, as I said, it's quite a lot of glute based stuff, but it's just because that's who I'm training these days, so it just organically comes from, oh, I've got clients who are training glutes and they have questions around it. So yeah, so that's just my thing. And I know it might not be like, oh man, he went all in on this niche, had this grand plan, but my plans are always just be great at kind of what you do. And like I say, in that realm of, I like getting women strong, and then that has a carryover to obviously body composition, stuff like that. So yeah, sorry if that's not the best answer, but.
And before you took on your first female client, did you have any knowledge of the female nutrition? And if not, how did you go about learning about it accurately?
What do you mean by female nutrition?
So do you believe that there's difference in nutrition between a male and a female athlete at all?
It depends kind of what people kind of categorize that. There's a difference between a 60 kilo man and a 100 kilo man. There's a difference between a 100 kilo man who's got 10% body fat and a 100 kilo man who's 50% body fat. And so there's difference in the same gender as well as different genders. And from a standpoint of, the training around the women's cycle and stuff like that, I think, yes, there's differences, but I also think a lot of the time they're overdone, like how much changes need to happen. Like I said, like if you're trying to get someone lean, and you've got 2 weeks to go, right? And they go into their period and, they're going to be hungry. It's like, oh, do you put the calories up? No, you need to get them lean. So you create a calorie deficit and stuff like that. Versus, all right, there's times though, if they're in their off season, that, all right, that your client really struggles around here. You've got a client who really, really feels flat. I'm going into her period, feels really, really hungry those days. So that's where a lot of it times is from around, I guess, female nutrition. A lot of the things I do, it's off feedback from working with a client. It's quite hard to, I try not to go, all right, this is how a woman is. You have to do this for a woman exactly like this, because women are different. I train a lot of women, and a lot of women are very different. I think people kind of make people go, all right, you're this, you're that. And you got a lot of women who I train I'll get some who their body weight barely at all changes around their period. Then I've got a lot of women whose the scale weight dramatically goes up. And that's the thing you learn, and people quite different. And as well, the other thing I'd say around working with women, and I'm sorry to the ladies out there listening, but I got to shut up for this guy. But again, it's not always, consistent. It's not, again, it's not, all right, this person's this month, but then next month it's going to be exactly like that. There's a lot of variables, but from a learning standpoint, yeah, not overly like, geez, like I've been doing this for 6-7 years and stuff like that. Now, like working with women at a high level, the information is better, but the more I've learned, the more I'm like, it's not like, oh man, I've got to change these different things. And, I looking around like programming, people are like, that was a big fad kind of thing. It's like a couple of years ago, oh, you got to train around your program and you got to do this part of the cycle and this part of the cycle. And I was just like, I know a lot of that I felt like wasn't really truthfully kind of from a lot of things sound good in theory versus when you actually work with people at a high level, truly work with them and stuff like that. So yeah, so I guess my answer to, learning about nutrition for women, it depends on people, and it's not always just as blanket kind of approach, just because honestly, you can get people with exact same body weight, exact same goal, exact same body fat, and they just react, or where their response is so different to so many different things. So again, you don't want to be like, this is how I do it, and it's the only way. It's, you want to have a structure and you want to have an idea where you want to go, but you also want to have 7 different ways to be able to get there in the end.